It's time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on this Thanksgiving Day. Yes, I am here, and it is Thanksgiving. You can even tell by looking at the scoreboard behind me. So those are the scores from Wednesday night. It is actually Thanksgiving, and I'm doing the show. Mostly. Kinda. I wanted to make sure we had you guys covered for the top stories of the day, with all the Thanksgiving Day football that's going on. Wanted to get into that a little bit. Make sure we had you covered for the top stories. We'll be here on Black Friday as well. Myself and Robert Littall will be doing the show on Friday, so looking forward to that as well. In the course of this hour, though, we will have some curated material from this week and people we talked to. Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, friend of the show. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Talk about a bunch of items around the NBA as well. But I wanted to make sure we had you guys covered for the top stories on this Thanksgiving. So let's begin in college football, where it is now official. Brian Kelly is now out as head coach at LSU. Apparently it wasn't official. Apparently it wasn't a done deal. Apparently they just had him kind of hanging out there, and that was making it difficult for him to get jobs, potentially with the myriad of openings that there is in college football. So he made a stink about it. His legal representation made a stink about it. And now it's official. All the posturing, as Pete Thamel called it, over at ESPN, is over, with Brian Kelly getting $54 million that is remaining on his contract. So again, for everybody who was feeling sorry about Brian Kelly throughout this week, I can't believe LSU is doing him dirty, LSU is doing him wrong. He's getting $54 million to go away after accomplishing nothing at LSU. The big question is who winds up becoming the head coach at LSU. Not so much whether or not Brian Kelly's going to get another job. He's 64 years old. I don't know how many teams are going to be clamoring at some of the bigger programs. I'll tell you one. I just thought of this. I don't wish this upon UConn. I don't wish this upon UConn. But could Brian Kelly land at UConn? I'm just throwing it out there on this Thanksgiving. Could Brian Kelly actually land at UConn? How crazy would that be? With Jim Mora taking the job at Colorado State. And, Brian Kelly's not getting the Florida job. Brian Kelly's not getting, he's not getting the Penn State job. You're not hiring Brian Kelly for something like that. Could Brian Kelly actually land at UConn? Stranger things have happened. $54 million, though, to do nothing versus having to negotiate what that buyout looks like and then go to UConn? I don't know. Which is, namely a basketball school. Just putting it out there. Interesting story to start the show today. Marshall Faulk, this is the trend, right? Michael Vick got a head coaching job. We saw Deion Sanders get a head coaching opportunity, and we've seen how that's gone over at Colorado. Now Marshall Faulk is the latest former player with really no huge coaching experience to get an opportunity. And he's kind of following in the steps of Deion Sanders, who went to an HBCU, and now that's what Marshall Faulk is doing. Hall of Fame running back, expected to become the head coach at Southern University, according to Adam Rittenberg over at ESPN. He's 52 years old, won the NFL MVP in 2000. Offensive Player of the Year, several Pro Bowls, rushed it for over 12,000 yards. Hey, good luck. We keep seeing, as I said, this trend in college football of giving guys head coaching jobs, even if they don't really have a ton of coaching experience. We'll see how it works out for Marshall Faulk. To the NBA now, and Oklahoma City just keeps on winning. They've won 10 straight. They're now 18-1 on the NBA season, or 19-1 on the NBA season. It's amazing what the Warriors, or rather what the Thunder, continue to do. We talked about it with Kurt Helin. We'll have a conversation with him coming up a little later on in this show about, is there anything that could stop them? And now we have to start talking about records, because now you're talking about a record-setting pace for this Thunder team. How many games could they actually wind up winning? I mean, 74, is that out of the realm of possibility? The record? It would be a record. Right now, Oklahoma City, to break the NBA record, is plus 680 over on FanDuel. To win more than 74 games. To win more than 75 games, they're plus 1,000. That number is pretty damn low, considering nobody's ever done it, and what that kind of accomplishment would mean. Because here's the problem with the Thunder. While they are a great team, potentially dynastic, they're in Oklahoma City. And they don't have the name and star power of a Luka or a LeBron or a Kawhi or a Wemby or a Jalen Brunson in New York or a Kevin Durant in Houston or an Anthony Edwards. Yes, they have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is kind of the basketball version of, who's the guy I want to think of here? Give me the most nondescript star that you could think of in sports. Maybe a certain golfer comes to mind, perhaps. That's sort of what you're talking about when you talk about the Thunder. So the only thing that I think can captivate the nation and get them excited about watching the Thunder, who are just blitzing teams left and right, is the idea that they could win 74, that they could win 75, that they can break what was thought to be an unbreakable record. Keep an eye on that story as we continue to go through this NBA season. And again, Kurt Helin coming up a little later on. One other note, Stephen Curry got hurt in last night's Warriors loss. Warriors are 10-10 on the season. And people are starting to grumble about the defense, that they're not playing great defense. I don't know why anybody's shocked by anything going on with the Warriors right now. This is a team that, they've sort of tried to hold it together with, duct tape and crazy glue and sort of try to make one last run at being a title contender. But the fact of the matter is, this is what the Warriors are. They're a 10-10 basketball team with aging superstars. Well, Stephen Curry hurt his quad last night, and he could be out for an undetermined period of time. Had to leave the Warriors' loss at home to the Rockets. Curry's going to have an MRI on it. We'll let you know what that MRI shows on Friday's show. All right, we're coming back. Lots more to do on this edition of Sports Wrap. We're talking some NFL. Nick Ferguson will be here. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to this Thanksgiving edition of Sports Wrap. As I said, we've curated some content for you from the show this week. And of course, NFL's front and center, because nothing says Thanksgiving like football. 3 amazing games on tap for Thursday. A Black Friday game as well. Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, easy for me to say, joins us on the show most weeks to talk about everything going on around the league. And we went through a whole litany of items around the NFL. And we began things with what took place on Monday night with the Niners and the Panthers. The Niners won, but they won ugly, Nick. At the end of the day, it's a win for the Niners. They have 8 wins. I think it's Kyle Shanahan's best job yet. Of all the seasons he's coached this team, Nick, I think this is the best job he's done coaching this Niners team. Give me a thought, though, on the Brock Purdy side of this, because Sam and I were talking about it in the last segment, and Sam thinks, you got to go to Mac Jones. He's, Kyle Shanahan's a Mac Jones guy. And look, I can understand that there are going to be some people out there that want to stir up controversy when it comes to the quarterback spot. It is the most talked about position in all of sports when it comes to drama. And Mac Jones obviously won a bunch of games as the starter this year. We know Kyle Shanahan likes him. You have a game where Brock Purdy goes out and throws 3 interceptions. The natural flow of this conversation is, all right, do they need to go back to Mac Jones? If not now, then in the offseason, do you find a way to offload Brock Purdy? What is your thoughts? As somebody who's played the game, been in the locker room, seen these situations, knows the Niners organization, how do you think they will proceed here?
I think all of that is fluff and it's overreaction. And you're right. When we talk about the quarterback position, there's a lot of dramas and a lot of what ifs, and it's creatures of the habit, right? Well, creatures of the moment, excuse me. That's what we look at when we talk about this particular situation. And Mac Jones has performed well, but let's not kid ourselves. This is a guy who was a former first-round draft choice, and he's been on 3 teams so far. And it's a reason why that's been the case. And you look at Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant, people kind of cast him aside. But this is a guy that has led the San Francisco 49ers for the past couple of years. And oh, by the way, he was a couple of plays from beating the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Mac Jones has not done that, right? It's a great name, and yeah, I know. When you think about Kyle Shanahan, he likes Mac Jones because Mac Jones is the type of quarterback that he's used to. Like that's, I guess, an updated version of Kirk Cousins, if you will. But is Mac Jones enough to get you to where you need to get to? No, he's a very serviceable quarterback at this particular point. And that's not to say that with development under Kyle Shanahan, he can become a much better player. But at this juncture right now, he's not better than Brock Purdy. And by the way, keep this in mind. When we look at players with the ability to make plays outside the numbers, they have some guys, but that chemistry is lacking. And that may be due in part to all the time that Brock Purdy missed with the starting lineup. Timing and chemistry is everything. But for anyone yelling, get Brock Purdy out, throw Mac Jones in, hey, man, maybe you've been tapped on the head too many times to make that come to that conclusion. So pump your brakes. The 49ers are in a good space because they have their starter and they have their backup. But Purdy made some mistakes in that game, but you got to tip your cap to the Carolina Panthers defense because they made plays too as well.
Can I flip this to Bryce Young for a second? Because, there's a conversation about what they're going to do. Are they going to pick up his, 4th-year option or whatever it is, here? And we saw the performance last week against Atlanta where he, broke out and played probably his best game as a pro. They came back. They won that game. The team seems to be going in the right direction under Canales. Do you get a sense as to whether they even know yet whether Bryce Young is the guy? Like, is he playing for his job basically over the final 5-6 games of this season?
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying. Every player's playing for their job.
True.
But in Bryce Young's case, absolutely, because Dave Canellis and the Carolina Panthers, they have to understand and know, well, are we going in the right direction? And can Bryce Young actually lead us there? And let's make no mistake, right? Every quarterback needs a run game, and they seem to have found it in Rico Dowd. Now, you also need other playmakers. You had Ted McMillan, and you have Leggett that's there. They don't have a tight end yet. So we don't know exactly what Bryce Young can do with the full gamut of playmakers on this level. We've seen it at Alabama. So the question is, can you duplicate that? And that would be on the Panthers organization to see if they can build a team around him. But these last couple of games are going to tell the story. If he can go out and perform well, win or lose, win is always better than losing. But if he goes out and performs well, then it's okay. We have our guy. We just need to make sure we tweak the roster here and there, but also, too, not just on the offensive side of the ball, JP, but the defensive side of the ball as well.
Stay in that NFC South for a second, with the injury to Baker Mayfield. And look, he's a guy who's full throttle all the time, loves to be out there. They put him back out there after he clearly had something wrong with his throwing shoulder. He gets hurt again. Luckily, the news doesn't look to be too severe in terms of how long he's going to be out. But do they need to, you've been in locker rooms. Do you need to protect players from themselves sometimes? And I know he plays the game a certain way. And what we love about him can sometimes be what we hate about him, or hate is a strong word, but worry about when it comes to him and the way he plays the game. At a position that's so important to have out on the field for as many games as possible during the season. At this stage of his career, can that still be changed?
No, I'm going to say no, because you are who you are. And Baker has come this far based on that. Just think about how he was at OU and going to Cleveland, going to Carolina. Then we saw him on a short week with the Rams, and he won the game on Thursday night, which was shocking as hell for so many people. But that set him up for the situation he's in right now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the one thing that makes Baker Mayfield, he plays with a certain recklessness. And in some organizations, you want that at the quarterback position. I mean, just watching him pregame go down the line, headbutting guys. How many quarterbacks you know actually do that? I don't know many, but that's who he is. That's his personality. And you can't ask him to change who he is. But to answer your question as far as protecting a player from himself, in these cases, you have to, because this is the way that we were built as players. And there's coaching staffs that now kind of frown upon you when you don't go out there and play injured. But this is a case where Todd Bowles will have to protect Baker Mayfield for himself.
All right, we got more with Nick Ferguson. I want to get into the Detroit-New York game, which we didn't talk about yesterday. We'll get to it next. Welcome back to the show. More conversation with Nick Ferguson, former NFL safety, hanging out with us on this Tuesday edition of the program. I want to get to you on Detroit and New York. Sam gave me grief yesterday on the show for not talking about the Lions-Giants game, which was a great game, but it's a 2-win Giants team. I mean, and Detroit wins, and all of that is great. Should we, every time the Lions have lost a game this season, we've gone through this thing where we say, but they're the Lions, they're going to be fine. They'll be there at the end of the year. If the playoffs started today, technically, I don't even think they'd be in the playoffs. And I keep finding myself in this situation saying, Dan Campbell's squad, they're gonna be fine. When we get to the postseason, they're gonna be there. They're gonna be a contender. Do you still feel that way about Detroit right now?
Listen, the season isn't over, and their division, they're third right behind the Packers and the Bears. Who saw that one coming? The Bears would be where they are. But the reason why people talk about the Lions the way they do, because Jared Goff, and they have Amon St. Brown, they have Montgomery, and they have Jahmyr Gibbs. Offensively, they have firepower, and they've proven year after year that they can score points. The biggest issue is, can they win a shootout? I don't think they can. This is a team that's built to win multiple shootouts. Maybe, let's just say, in a 4-game stretch, I'll give them maybe 2 times that they'll be able to win those types of shootouts. But I think the thing that helps them is that they're looking up at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have not performed well. Josh Jacobs is injured right now. Jordan Love doesn't look like what I thought he was going to be coming into the season, and they're struggling to kind of push the ball down the field. They got tight ends injured. And I know at this stage of the game, everyone's dealing with injuries, but unlike Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers, they're not showing as though they can overcome those injuries. And no, don't get me started on the kicking game, whoa. So if you're the Detroit Lions and you're fans, you're saying just what you said. We still have an opportunity, but here is where the rubber meets the road. There's a game on Thanksgiving. It has to start with them winning that game and then winning the other games throughout the season. But right now, I mean, it's surprising to say it, but the Chicago Bears are dominating that division.
I don't know about dominating. I mean, they're winning the division. I wouldn't say they're dominating.
Hey, Coach Prime said dominate.
It's right? So amazing. Right? It's just so amazing how cyclical these things are, and how you can lose so many close games one year and then go the next year and win. Like I take the Giants as an example because we were talking about Detroit. If you go and look at the number of points the Giants have lost their games by, the combined number of points, it would not be crazy. Not that I want to make this a conversation about the Giants with the helmet above my head, but it wouldn't be crazy if the Giants won 9 games next year. Would you be? If the Giants are healthy next year, would you be shocked if that team won 9 or 10 games?
No, I wouldn't, and that's based on the fact of who the next coach who's coming in. But I know they have a great defense. Cam Scatterbull, he should be back and healthy, and Jackson Dart. Hopefully, if they can keep him upright and out of a concussion protocol, he should be much better. But we see this every single year.
Every year, you see these teams. Even the Jets have lost a ton of close games.
But see, bad teams lose games, and that's where confidence comes in. You have to know that you can go in and you can win close games. Last year, what did we see from Kansas City? They had 8, 9 games that were one-score games, but they found a way because there was a belief in the play calling, the coach, and the quarterback. Your Giants, they just need someone to restore that belief.
Arizona's another example. You know, Arizona's another example. I mean, they've lost a ton of close games this year.
And Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Revelation.
Right?
It's been a revelation.
And it has some Arizona fans saying, Kyler Murray, who? Right? And I can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
No?
No, like, how can I? You got a veteran guy who's played on multiple teams and multiple systems.
But is he the future of your franchise?
No, he's not the future of the franchise. And what fans are coming to the realization, neither is Kyler Murray. And right now, Jacoby Brissett is showing them something that they hoped that Kyler Murray would actually be, because remember, they gave him a massive contract. And with the massive payment comes with a lot of expectations. And he hasn't really lived up to those expectations. And if I'm not mistaken, Jacoby Brissett, his jersey was taken to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, was it not? There hasn't been an item by Kyler Murray where it has gone to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So Jacoby Brissett has done something in a short period of time with the Arizona Cardinals that Kyler Murray himself has not been able to do.
Take the team that won that game, Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's been, and again, they're kind of one of these up and down teams. You know, you see Trevor Lawrence make plays and you're like, yes, that's our guy. And then you see him make plays where you say, no, that can't be our guy. What Liam Cohen has done here in the first, in his first season there in Jacksonville, and where this Jacksonville team sort of sits. I mean, it sounds crazy, but they've still got 2 games left against the Colts. The Colts have a brutal schedule. And we'll get to the Chiefs side of that game coming up later on. But, look at Jacksonville here. They still got a shot to win that division.
Yeah, they do. But this is the NFL. I mean, this is par for the course. There's not going to be a quarterback that's going to go through the entire season unblemished, no flaws. There's no such thing as perfection. If you tell me there is, please give me the address.
Matt Stafford is the closest thing to it this year.
Even Matt Stafford isn't perfect, because the last time I checked, even though he's doing a hell of a job, he has back issues, right? He has back issues, but he still is able to get it done. But here's what we know. He has a great guy in Sean McVay calling plays. His defense has started to play a lot better. He's got 2 monsters at the wide receiver position in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. And oh, by the way, he can turn around and hand the ball off to Blake Corum or Kyron Williams. So he's doing perfectly fine. He's fine as far as that's concerned, but he's not perfect. He's not in a situation where his players outside the numbers aren't playing well for him. But this goes back to this whole idea.
But on Jacksonville here in the final 30 seconds of the segment.
Okay, yeah, but Jackson, using Stafford, you need players around you. You got Jacoby Myers. You don't have Travis Hunter, right? You need weapons, and this is what the foundation of Liam Cohen, and this is what he's trying to build. But I still believe in Trevor Lawrence.
Okay. I would imagine in Jacksonville on some level they still believe in him as well. One more.
Sound like you don't.
I'm wishy-washy. Let's switch gears and talk some NBA. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com joins us next. All right, let's spend some time on the NBA. Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com joins us every Thursday on SportsWrap. Look, this Lakers team just continues to fascinate me as we continue to see, the dynamic with LeBron being back now. We know what Luka can do. I think he had 24 in the first quarter last night against the Clippers, and I'll get to the Clippers in a second. But from a Lakers perspective, Kurt Helin, I know that they are not a team without flaws. And I know, we've talked about them potentially going and getting a 3-and-D guy. But when you just look at it on the surface, from a wins and losses standpoint, you've got to be thrilled right now with where this team is.
You do. They have, overachieved, I think, early this season. And part of that is simply this: their defense isn't that good. It's been about league average, but it's not that good. And just in terms of point differential, they should be about 10-7, not 12-5. Like, they have really kind of played better than the number. And part of that is just how good Luka is in the clutch, how good Reeves has been in those key moments. So they have just been good enough, and they're playing tight together. They're playing smart. And I think the other thing that really stands out when you watch them now, this is Luka's team, and LeBron is happy to fill the role. Like, LeBron is willing to play his role rather than be the dominant force. I think there'll be points this season he'll dial it up for a stretch. But I think he realizes where he is in his career and where this team is and what this team needs from him.
That's what I think. And, in an era where we talk about selfish stars and selfish superstars and I want to be traded or I'm not getting enough minutes or all these different things. Here's LeBron, who's done it all, is in his 23rd season, would obviously like to get one more ring and is just willing to do whatever this team is asking of him. I mean, that in this era, I know we shouldn't be like having to applaud that, but you do because it's so rare.
He wants to play for something meaningful. He wants to be in meaningful games. And obviously that includes making the NBA Cup quarterfinals, which they did. I mean, that's huge for him, right? No, but this is a team now that when you look at the West, looks like a top 4 team in the West, right? Like, Minnesota is stumbling out of the gate and their problems are not easily fixable. On down the line, Oklahoma City's Oklahoma City. Denver's going to be elite. Houston looks really good. But the Lakers are in that mix in the top 4 now. And if they get to the second round and they're playing against somebody for a chance to advance, like, those are the kind of big, meaningful games LeBron wants to be in. And it makes things interesting this offseason when he's a free agent because he's going to want the consensus is, and we'll see, the consensus is he's going to want to play one more year and kind of have a farewell tour. I'm curious if that's what the Lakers, if they have a really good run, does he look at this and go, man, I'll take less to stay? I'm curious because if he's going to go somewhere else, by the way, if he's going to go to Cleveland or New York or Golden State, he's taking a big pay cut. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Give me a thought on Denver. I said this yesterday or the day before on the show. The loss of Aaron Gordon is huge for this team. The growth in his game, losing somebody like that for 4 to 5 weeks, in a Western Conference that has seen the Lakers doing what they're doing, the Thunder running out and winning 17 of their first 18, as of Wednesday. I mean, how big is that loss? I mean, we talk about the loss of Wemby for the Spurs and them having to navigate through that. How about, I think in some regards, the loss of Aaron Gordon to this Nuggets team could be bigger just because of how many different things he does for that team.
Nothing's bigger than Wemby, first off, literally, and in terms of his import to the Spurs. But it's not, by the way, it's not just losing Aaron Gordon. Christian Brown is out also with the sprained ankle for another month. That's your 2 starter glue guys. Now you're going deep into the bench, and Peyton Watson's been fantastic for them, but now you're leaning much deeper into the bench. You're asking all this other stuff of them, and it's going to hurt. And I'll tell you what, the Lakers and the Rockets in particular, if we're talking about you know what they're rooting for? Denver to slip a little during this phase and eventually fall to 4th in the West. Because if you can get to the playoffs with them 4th and Oklahoma City 1st, that's now your second round matchup. And for Houston and the Lakers and anybody else who wants to advance, having them face each other in the second round gives you a chance to get to the conference finals and a puncher's chance of knocking one of them off. Let those 2 teams battle it out because they're, when healthy, still the 2 best teams. But maybe you can get to the conference finals. Maybe you got a little something there with a little luck.
If your argument was complacency being the thing that could slow down Oklahoma City coming off of a title, and that hasn't happened here, Kurt Helin, with them at 17-1. What is the thing that could slow down this team right now?
Catastrophic meteor destroying the Earth. I
was afraid you were going to say that.
The thing is, they're doing all this without their second best player, and they're what's more concerning.
And they don't even have to rush him back.
No, they don't. They especially don't now. He missed the cutoff for playing 65 games and making an all-NBA team, which means he signed a max deal with a Rose rule, so he could get 30% of the cap. Now he can only get 25%, which is still a boatload of money, but I don't think what he was expecting. He was an all NBA player a year ago. All that said, this team is marching forward. And the other thing that really stands out, their defense isn't just good. Right now, as of yesterday, it's 6 points per 100 possessions better than anyone else in the league. Detroit is second. They are just suffocating teams with their defense right now. And if Wemby is out long enough that he doesn't make the 65-game threshold, Chet Holmgren, people, is your new Defensive Player of the Year leader. Get your money down now.
Do you see them, are there any moves that you think here in the final 25 seconds of this segment? Is there anything you see them doing from a trade standpoint that shores them up going into the next phase of the season or before the trade deadline?
Barring an injury, I don't see that. They don't need to.
More with Kurt Helin on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Another segment with Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. My man hangs out with us every week on the show.
We both went with black today. We're very Johnny Cash.
We are very Johnny Cash. It's slimming, man. It's slimming. It's all I can do. How troubling is the Matt Ishbia stuff with the Suns right now, Kurt?
It's not good, but it's also, look, anybody who's covered lawsuits in the past, worked in legal, there's two parts to it, right? There's the legal argument of what they're doing, and then there's winning hearts and minds. And publicly pushing out some of the stuff they're pushing out is these minority owners trying to win the hearts and minds of Suns fans and others that, hey, the league, hey, this guy's a problem and he's using this team as an ATM. That certainly has happened in professional sports. Hello, Frank McCourt, wherever you are. But it's not. I don't know if that's the case here. I think they're pushing a narrative. Ishbia is pushing back. These are two guys who would like to get more control over a team that they don't have any say over and don't necessarily like how he's handling things. But I don't know that they're ultimately going to win the argument in a courtroom where this matters most.
Does the 11-7 start help quell some of the issues that are happening there?
I think absolutely. For Suns fans, like, the team looks good. The team, Jordan Ott has been playing great. You're going to see him get Coach of the Year mentions deservedly. And you know what they're doing? They're playing hard every night. They're playing smart. I mean, they've got talent with Devin Booker and on down the line, but they're playing hard every night. And you would think in professional sports that shouldn't be a thing.
Again,
we all know. Yes. We all know it is. And if anybody who watched this team the last 2 years, them just busting it every night is like half the game.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It is funny that Kevin Durant leaves and they're a better team this year than they were last. I'm just saying. I'm not saying not saying correlation, causation, or any of that. I'm just pointing out the fact.
It's bigger than Kevin Durant, but yeah, it's like they don't have the guy to fall back on. They don't have the guy who, like, oh my gosh, 7 seconds on the shot clock, throw him the ball and let him do some. Not having that has forced them to execute a little bit.
Tell me why the Detroit Pistons in this 15-2 start shouldn't have Houston Rockets vibes of last year to me. That, yeah, they're good, and yes, they're going to win games, and they're going to be competitive in the East, but are they really ready to make that leap to being a championship team?
I know that's very trendy to say yes. Somebody, I don't want to disparage one of our people who said that on air this week. But no, they're not. And I think the problem is simply this. Their defense is elite. That gets them there. They've been great on that end. But in the playoffs, you've got to have a secondary shot creator. If you're the Bucks winning a championship, I can make, back in 2021, I can make life hard for Giannis. But when Chris Middleton's stepping up and other guys, right, they had other players stepping up, Drew Holiday, they had all these guys stepping up into that void. Who's that guy? I'm not sure that guy exists yet on Detroit. And that's why, by the way, and I've mentioned it here, the league is watching to see if they can get Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen changes the dynamic if they make that trade. I don't know if they're going to be able to. I don't know if they're going to. But they need one more high-level shot creator in a playoff situation, because I can then, as great as Cade is, and he's going to get his, I can make life difficult for him, and there's got to be an outlet.
Toronto was 5-5 through the first 10 games of their season. They've won 8 straight. How surprised are you at what's happening north of the border?
I'm very surprised. Well, this is a team that had a lot of talent, but I felt like it was the island of
misfit toys.
Thank you. I'm like, why did I? I guess it's not past Thanksgiving, so I haven't really come up with my Christmas references yet. But the island of misplaced toys, they just didn't see how they fit together, but they are, and they're doing it by running. They're one of the fastest teams in the league. They're getting up and down. They're playing enough defense. And out in transition, they've just got athletes and shooters and guys who can play. And Brandon Ingram, the up and down career of Brandon Ingram is definitely up. He has found a comfort level there. And that guy can get you buckets, man. That guy has always been able to go get buckets. He looks fantastic. They're going to miss R.J. Barrett for the next week, but that's another team that's advanced. They were 3-0. They're through into the NBA Cup, and that could put them on a big stage in Vegas if they win one more game. Just because of the way the TV rating structures, we don't really see them on national TV all that much here in the States, but they're playing really fun brand of basketball.
We haven't talked much about the Celtics, and for obvious reasons with Tatum being out this season. The Celtics at 9-8, there's the way the Pacers have gone at 2-15 without Halliburton. And then there's the Celtics who without Tatum are still a 9-8 team. And right now on the fringes of the playoff picture.
They have gotten a few things going, but Quinta in the middle has been kind of a key. Like, I just thought their center position was going to fall apart. Remember, Porzingis gone.
Mm-hmm. Al Horford
gone. Their whole center, Cornette, gone, right? He's actually holding up what's left in San Antonio right now. Everybody left. I'm like, man, it's going to fall apart. They've actually been pretty good in the middle. They've actually been pretty good in the paint. And with that, look, Jaylen Brown's playing like an all-NBA player. He has been phenomenal. Peyton Pritchard has stepped up. Like, they've gotten enough offense. And the perimeter guy, I mean, they still had Derek White. Like, they've still had the perimeter players. I just didn't think they were the best way to tank in the NBA, quietly, is to just not have good center play. Like, not have good defense and good play on either end of the paint. And I thought that was going to be them, and I've been proven wrong. They've been good enough to be a play-in team.
All right. Only because I have to. I've got 30 seconds left in the segment. Say something about my Knicks.
Hey, look, I don't know. Are you down on your Knicks right now? I think they're playing. They haven't quite found their groove yet, and they've got to be a little more consistent defensively. But like, I still see this team as on paper the second best team in the East. Maybe like they are right there. Detroit's kind of looks the best right now, but push comes to shove, man. I still like the Knicks as a real chance to come out of the East if they can just kind of get everybody healthy.
Well, we're into the holiday season, which means we're all paying a lot more attention to basketball. I've been paying attention to it since day one. Kurt Helin is with NBC Sports and Pro Basketball Talk. Thank you, my friend.
Take care, man.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this Thanksgiving Day edition of SportsWrap. A few reminders for you. Starting with tomorrow, our Black Friday edition of SportsWrap. There are no doorbusters here, I can promise you. But we will be doing something pretty cool tomorrow. Robert Littal will be hanging out with us for the entire show. Normally he joins us for a segment or two on Fridays to talk about the top stories of the week. He'll be here for the entire show on Friday. So I'm looking forward to hanging out with him and talking about the top stories of the day. We'll obviously recap all the Thanksgiving Day football, the Black Friday game, get you set up for that as well. That on Friday. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It is the audio version of this show, available Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, Amazon, TuneIn, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show Monday through Friday. So make sure to go and check that out. We also have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. If you have not checked this out yet, go and subscribe. It's free. We would love for you to go there. The TV version of the show that you're watching right now is available on YouTube Monday through Friday, or maybe you're watching the show on YouTube already and you already know this. But the YouTube version of the show is available Monday through Friday. We'd love for you to go and subscribe to that. We also have Sports Wrap Shorts available on that Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, where you can get all the updated news. When big stories break, we're often on YouTube with SportsWrap Shorts to let you know what's going on. SportsWrap Shorts are also available on our TikTok channel, SportsWrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram, SportsWrap Jason Page. That's easy to remember. It's the name of the show. Without any further delay on this Thanksgiving, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. Let's begin in college basketball. I've watched a lot of college basketball over the last few days, these holiday tournaments that are in full swing. And look, nobody's getting crowned national champion and winning the NCAA tournament in November. But it is a bit eye-opening when Michigan goes and beats Gonzaga by 40, as they did here in Las Vegas, where we are based, on Wednesday. I mean, that is an eye-opening win. 101-61, the final score, to win the Players Era tournament here in Las Vegas. And keep an eye on that tournament, because we have the big NCAA tournament at the end of the year. Players Era is trying to come in, and they're doing some different things. I think the tournament field this year was, 12, 18 teams, something like that. They're talking about potentially expanding it to something larger. It's going to go to 32 teams, is what they're talking about next year. Michigan also gets $1 million in additional NIL compensation with the win in the championship. Gonzaga got $500,000. That's the era of sports we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you like it or not, get used to it. Odds and ends. The Blue Jays make a big splash already in free agency, showing they're not resting on their laurels of winning an AL pennant. They have gone out and signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million contract. You may know him most recently, was pitching with the San Diego Padres. Prior to that, the White Sox. I mean, you're talking about one of the top pitchers in the game. He's made 32 starts in each of the past 5 seasons, at least. So you're talking about a durable pitcher. But then on the other hand, I'm sitting here thinking, wow, he's really been durable over the last 5 years. What are the chances that continues? I'm not looking to jinx anything going on in Toronto. We love you guys watching us over on Games Plus, but he's been so durable for 5 years, all that wear and tear. Kind of feels like it's a recipe for, hey, 7 years, $210 million, and then he grabs his elbow in the third start of the 2026 season for the Blue Jays. Not wishing it on him or anybody. Dylan Cease will be 30 next month, by the way. We're still wondering what happens with Tariq Skubal in this offseason. That is one of the big names out there. Ranger Suarez. There's a whole bunch going on in this baseball offseason. Still a lot of chips to fall around baseball. A note from golf, if I may, before we go. It has been an eternity since the PGA Tour and LIV Golf had seemingly gotten together and on the same page, and they were going to work out a way to sort of work together, coexist. Maybe the PGA Tour would absorb LIV Golf and bring back all the golfers into the mix. Well, not so fast, Lee Harvey, because Rory McIlroy is on the record saying that he doubts there will ever be a repairing of the fracture in golf that has come from the start of LIV Golf. That's what he says. And, LIV Golf just continues to spend. There had been hopes they might be able to get together after the breakaway tour launched in 2021, but it's been 2.5 years since all of that conversation about these two sides getting together, and it doesn't appear it's going to happen anytime soon. Quote, "You see some of these other sports that have been fractured for so long," McIlroy told CNBC's CEO Council Forum. You look at boxing, for example, or what's happened in motor racing at the United States, Indy and NASCAR and everything else. I think for golf in general, it would be better if there was unification. Quote, "But I just think that's what's happened over the last few years. It's just going to be very difficult to make that happen," is basically what Rory McIlroy said. What do you think? Will LIV golfers ever get back together with the PGA Tour? We got to go. Thanks to Sam Yarnell, Kurt Helin, Nick Ferguson, you for watching. Have a safe Thanksgiving. Don't drink and drive. Enjoy all the turkey. We'll see you back here on Friday for a Black Friday edition of Sports Wrap. Bye.